Welcome to Twin Bridge Dairy Goats. We're glad you're here.
It's about family, farm, and our girls.
We're located in beautiful central Oklahoma, where the wind comes sweeping down the plain. There's always something going on at the farm. So come along. This is what happened today.
Good morning, friends. It's Monday morning, May 2nd. I am running a tad bit late this morning. Haven't been able to make it out to the barn yet. My poor girls are huddled up in their enclosures and I think are waiting patiently for me, but there is no way I'm walking across the yard with this going on. I am about an hour late, but it has calmed down just a bit. Well, quite a bit, I guess. And the wind's not blowing quite as bad, so I am gonna make a run for the barn. Okay, friends, so this morning we had, the little rainstorm roll through here. It started about 1:30-ish this morning, and so I woke up several times with it raining, and which was a very wonderful sound because we really need the rain here. But it did cause me to be about an hour and a half late getting out to the girls and doing my milking this morning. But I got that all finished and it's stopped raining right now. We are possibly going to have some severe weather in the next couple of hours, and I think actually that it starts at about 2 o'clock, they're saying, and could last up until 11 o'clock midnight tonight. So hopefully we don't see any tornadoes in this area, and that we don't have a whole lot of damaging tornadoes in the state. But it is May. So anyways, right now though, I am going to make some cheese. I've been wanting to do a few cheese videos, cheese making videos, show you guys some of the things that we do with our milk. You guys know that we are getting about 2 gallons a day, and that's a lot of milk. I do have a customer that is purchasing milk from us about every 7 to 10 days or so, but we just get an abundance of milk that I've got to use it, which was my intention. If I wanted to, and I am thinking that I'm going to dry up a couple of the girls because I just don't need to continue getting that much milk for their whole lactation cycle. But today we are going to try some 30-minute mozzarella. Before I get started, I wanted to address something about last year's cheese. I did a few videos. I didn't show the process of me making the cheese. I wasn't quite comfortable enough to do that, and I'm still on the fence about that. But I did want to address some of the issues. We did a couple of videos showing the cheese cave, and it was fairly full. I did some farmhouse. We did some jalapeno cheddar. I had some Colby, and we had Monterey, I think. And we were super excited about them, and it came time to us testing the cheese and cutting it and tasting it, and it was awful. I was so disappointed. The first couple of rounds of farmhouse cheese we did was really good. Mozzarella was really good. Didn't have any issues with those cheeses, but I did a block of cheddar, Monterey Jack, jalapeno, and Colby. All of those cheeses did not turn out at all, and we were super disappointed. But through my research and just reading as much as I could on the different cheese making forums and all of that, I think I know what I did. I think it was an issue with possibly not having the cheese dried out enough on the counter before I waxed it. And so there was still quite a bit of moisture, and that caused some souring because that was the problem. All of the cheese it tasted like soured milk. And so super disappointed. So anyways, you have to share the disappointments along with the achievements on the farm, because there are disappointments. You guys know that. If you followed along for any amount of time, especially this year, we lost several babies and had some pretty traumatic things happen with the goats, but there's been some wonderful things happen too. So we want to make sure and give you guys the full picture of what it's about. It's not just about all the fun and how cute. It's about the disappointments, and that comes along with cheese making also. So hopefully we will all learn something from my mistakes. Anyways, today it's 30-minute mozzarella cheese, and we're gonna get started. Okay, so the 30-minute mozzarella calls for 1 teaspoon of citric acid dissolved into a cup of cool water, which I already have my cool water here. I'm going to dissolve it. And then you pour this into your kettle or stock hot. Okay, that's good and dissolved. So that goes in first. I'm going to set this aside. So now, a note, using raw milk, in step 1, we're going to heat the milk to 88 degrees. In my directions down here, step 1 is 90 degrees is what it says, but we want to heat it to 88 degrees. So now we're going to add the milk. This is 1 gallon of raw goat's milk. I did not skim off the cream or the butter fat. It's just pure yesterday's milk. So now we're going to mix this. I'm going to turn on my burner, and we're going to heat this to 88 degrees. I'm going to put in my little thermometer and watch. It will not take that long to heat it to 88 degrees. So while my milk is heating to 88 degrees, I am going to get my rennet ready. And the rennet is added to 1/4 of a teaspoon of cool milk. So that is ready to go as soon as my raw goat's milk reaches 88 degrees. And I added another thermometer here to test this one, because this got wet the other day and I want to make sure that I'm on track with my heat. We are almost at 88 degrees. Okay, so our milk has reached 88 degrees and we remove it from the heat source. Add the rennet solution and stir slowly with an up and down motion. So this is 1/4, a 1/4 teaspoon of liquid rennet added to a 1/4 cup of cool water. And I am just slowly dripping the rennet in and mixing it throughout my milk. Trying not to break the surface too much on my milk. Being very careful and thoroughly mixing. Okay, now once you've added your rennet, remove your spoon, and this has to set for 5 minutes undisturbed. There we go. Okay, so one thing that we did do while we're waiting for the curds to set was I added 4 cups or 1 quart of water to my pot back here in the back to start warming that. That is something that we're going to need in step 4 or 5, I think. So just to let you guys know that that's something that you might want to plan ahead and get your steps done. I read my recipes over and over and over and over and over. Always. there was my timer. So we're going to go ahead and check this curd to see if it's set firm enough. Let him get Brian is my cameraman today, and so he's doing, and it looks really, really good. So we're going to move on to the next step. Now that the curd is set, and it's pretty good, you can see it pulls away. It's a clean break away, and the whey is releasing from the curd. So the next step is to cut the curd. The recipe says to do 1-inch cubes. So we're going to just gently start cutting the curds. And as you cut, there's going to be more whey that is released from the curd. Curds and whey, that's what this is. Okay, so I went across one way. This is kind of a tricky part because the curds actually want to move with you. And so we are making cubes. And, you know, the book says 1 inch. I'm sorry. I don't get 1 inch cubes. I try to do it exactly like the directions say, but sometimes that's not always possible. Okay, so now that I've got cubes, they're still, 4 inches. And so now I'm going to take my slotted spoon and I'm going to go in here and scoop hopefully about 1 inch and just start breaking up my cubes. And this gets to be a little trickier because you can't really see what you're doing and the curds are moving. So some of them might not be, an inch. And these tend to move around a lot more than when I'm doing the farmhouse cheese. So what I'm trying to do is to cut through the layers of the curds. And the idea is to get 1 inch cubes, but that's not always possible. And so I will just gently pull it up and cut it with my slicing. And you want to be very gentle and not too rough. Oh, see, there's a big slice of it that didn't get cut. Okay, so now that we've pretty much got it all separated and got cubed, I need to refer back to my directions to see what the next step is. So because we are using raw milk, we are not going to heat the curds again in step 3. We are just going to stir them for 2 to 3 minutes. And the longer you stir, the firmer the cheese will be. So we are just going to gently stir. And as I'm stirring, if I see big chunks of curds, I am kind of breaking those up. Okay, so now this is ready, and I'm going to take my slotted spoon and I'm going to remove the curds into a colander set in another pan so I can catch the whey. In the meantime, while I'm doing that, I'm going to start this quart of water to heat to 180 degrees. So I'm going to start scooping out. I could have used a bigger spoon, I guess. I'm going to get all of the curds to draining and releasing all that whey. Okay, so now that we've removed the curds from this pot of whey, what we're going to do is set this aside. Uses for whey, I haven't really found a whole lot other than when we had the pigs. They absolutely loved it, and that was awesome that we could give it to them and I didn't feel like we were wasting anything. Okay, so now at this point, what I'm going to do is take the curds and fold them kind of in on themselves and press a little to release more of the whey out of these curds. I want to get as much out as possible without it being too dry. Cheese making is an art, let me tell you. And I sure don't feel like I'm a professional at all. Okay, so the next step is to take your curds. The directions say to take your mass and set it out on a cutting board, and you're going to cut like you're doing a brisket into 1/4 inch slices, basically. This way we can dip it in our hot water that we're warming on the stove and press it together easily. Okay, so this next step, now that we've got the curds sliced, so now we're going to start adding the curds to this warm water. And the idea is to heat up the curds and get them into a mass. And this is why I put on my gloves, because it is extremely, extremely hot. So we're going to add all these curds in here and slowly, slowly start turning them into this mass, which is doing wonderfully. Pulling apart, looking shiny. Okay, so we're working quickly. We're adding the curds that I sliced. It does make kind of a mess, and you guys can see all the splatters going everywhere. But we're folding it over and mixing the slices of curds so that we can get one mass of curd. It's taking on that sheen, and it's super like taffy at this point. And so we're just going to continue to add and mix. Okay, so once the curds are heated and have this nice sheen on them, it does not take long at all and pulls like taffy. This mozzarella is ready to be put into a ball, and you can see the big mess I made all over my stove. We are going to add this, or we're going to put this down into a bowl of ice water. The last time I made the mozzarella, this 30-minute mozzarella, I wasn't real happy with the salt amount. I thought it needed just a little bit more salt, so I'm working that in now while it's warm before it cools. Wowsy, that's hot. Okay, so once this is taken on the sheen like taffy, we submerge it in just water for 5 minutes. So once the curds have taken on that sheen and pull like taffy, we can either braid it, we can roll it into smaller balls, or you can leave it in a big chunk of a ball like I've done here. and let it set and cool. I believe the recipe says for 15 minutes in an ice bath. Okay, so the timer went off for our 15 minutes of setting this out, or setting in ice water. Now, let me double check the directions real quick. Okay, so we can sprinkle it with a little bit of salt, which I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle a little salt on it at this point. And the directions say to eat it now.
Eat it up.
Eat it up. Or you can store it in the refrigerator for 2 days, which I'm just going to tell you that I've stored it longer than that. I think the last time I made it lasted about 4 or 5 days before it started kind of turning a little, not necessarily rank, but just wasn't quite as good as what you would expect it to be. I am going to, well, let's do the taste test first, I guess. There is nothing like fresh homemade cheese. I like it better with adding the salt while I'm stretching. It gives it a little bit more yummy flavor. Now, mind you, this is the 30-minute fast mozzarella cheese recipe. I do plan on making mozzarella and taking the longer time to get it done. And it says that it's tastier that way. And that cheese I plan on storing, shredding, keeping in the freezer. My idea for this year is to make enough cheese for the whole year for us to use. And so that's why I'm getting 2 gallons of milk. Haven't started drying off those girls yet, but I want to make sure and get all of my cheeses done and put up and put away before I do that. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know that I am not a professional at all making cheese. Like I said, I just started last year, and it's been a learning process. Like anything that you do or start, it takes a little time for me to get into the know and into my little niche of doing it. And, you know, repetition is what it takes to remember. I have to refer back to my recipe book over and over and over and over. If you guys like the video, fantastic. Leave your comments, share our videos. We, at this point, I think I checked this morning, we have 940 subscribers. Yay, yay, yay. Good job, guys. Looking to get 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. But anyways, you guys like the video, share, comment, hit the notification bell, subscribe. Chat later.
If you like this video, share it. And if you wouldn't mind, comment. Let us know if this was valuable information to you or not. And if you haven't subscribed already, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified every time we post, because there's always something going on. At Twin Bridge Dairy Goats. Chat later.